Hello, everyone, and welcome to this series with the Borussia Dortmund in the Bundesliga. And this Borussia Dortmund save is like a Borussia Dortmund save you've never seen before. There are some really interesting rules for this save. The first ones are we only allow to sign German and Austrian players to the club, and that also includes the staff as well. So we're only allowed to have German scouts, German coaches, Austrian physios, etc. And also, the biggest twist of this save is that we have to accept every single bid that Bayern Munich put in for our players, whether that's £1 for Jude Bellingham or £1 for Youssef Moukoko. It is what it is. Now let's take a look at the squad and where they want us to finish. So the Reputation is obviously one of the biggest clubs in Germany. Fierce rivals are Schalke, so they will be big games for us. We're trying to replace Bayern Munich as the best team in Germany with only German and Austrian players and go on to win everything across Europe and World Club Championships, etc. Those are the aims of the save. And if we take a look at the system, what it's recommending to us is a 4-2-3-1, but we're not going to do that. We're going to play Jurgen Klopp, rock and roll football back at Borussia Dortmund, bringing back the big time to Dortmund with one of their favourite managers, a tactic inspired by him. And then we've got to play attacking football, develop clubs, youth players, play entertaining football. That's what we do on this channel, lads. There's no Jose Mourinho style football on this channel at all. And the end of this season, we need to qualify for the Champions League, reach the latest stages of the DFB Pokal and the knockout stages of the Champions League as well, and develop that youth academy. That's what we're going to be doing. Training and youth facilities are going to be the focus. We're not going to spend big money on players unless we really have to. If they're German and Austrian and good enough, we'll spend the money. And then looking at, we want to develop players using the club's youth system, sign German players, which is one of the things that we have to do on this save anyway, and become recognise the best of the rest. That's going to be easy. Finishing above Schalke is going to be no problem at all. First up, let's take a look at the squad that we've got going into the first season. And what we can't control is all of the non-German and Austrian players in this squad currently. That's something we can control later on once players start to get sold. So let's take a look at the players that could be long-term stays for us on this save. Starting off with the centre-back, Nikolai Süle, who's going to be absolutely class. One of the best German centre-backs at this current time, signed from Bayern in the previous season. He's going to be a long stay in this team because we need good quality German defenders, and he's one of the best that there is out there. And the same goes for the next man, one of the best German utility men there's probably ever been in Emre Can. He's won a lot of trophies. He brings that mentality to Dortmund. He's been at Dortmund a few seasons now. He's going to be another one that is going to be a long-term stay in this squad for us, I believe. And then looking at the forward line players, we've got the best young German striker that you could get. He can play out on the wings as well. It's a player that I like to call Kareem the Dream Adeyemi. Probably the best striker I've ever had on Football Manager in the past and on this one as well. He's going to be a long, long stay in this club unless Bayern Munich come in for him at some point. And that's something that I'm going to be absolutely dreading as well, is them coming in for the big ballers like Adeyemi and Chan and your Nikolai Süles. There's also some other decent German players in this squad as well. We've got the second best German striker on the game as well, Yusufa Moukoko. I definitely can't say his name. Moukoko, who cares? He's going to score goals. Look at that finishing for a 17-year-old. 16 finishing, 16 dribbling, 17 first touch. He's going to be an absolute monster, and I hope we can keep him because him and Adeyemi are the two best German forwards, in my opinion, young players on this game. The tactic we're going to play is Klopp's Liverpool 23 from FM Scout. We wanted a Klopp-inspired tactic, and I think this is one of the best ones on the market. I will put the link to the download in the video description below, so you too can try this out for your team. First off, let's have a look at the positions that the players will be playing. So sweeper keeper on support with the instructions of takes more risks, a wing back at left back with shoot less often, stay wider, close down more, tackle harder. Two ball playing centre backs. I love ball playing centre backs, lads. I'm not going to lie. Take more risks and hold position on those. An inverted wing back at fullback, right back. Shoot less often, close down more, tackle harder. Just a standard DM with tackle harder, mark tighter. We've got some good DMs in the squad already for that position. One of my favourite positions in the game, a box-to-box midfield player. Who doesn't love a box-to-box midfield player with stay wider, tackle harder? An advanced playmaker who's going to fit in that hole just behind the striker to pass it shorter, shoot less often, dribble more, and take more risks. Two inside forwards They're going to be cutting in more than Iron Robin on the right and the left. We've closed down more and tackle harder, and we've gone from an advance forward with roam from position and tackle harder and move into the channels also, because that's where Karim Adeyemi and Makuko, who cares, is going to score a lot of goals using this formation. We may adapt the formation throughout the seasons as well. We might play a 4-2-3-1 as well. We'll see how this gets on. It's an attacking tactic, and I feel like we have to play attacking football. We are the second best team in the league, so we should be attacking teams, in my opinion. Looking at the in possession, it's a fairly wide tactic with pass into space, play out of the defence, slightly higher tempo, and then run at the defence with low crosses. In the transition, counter press, counter, distribute quickly, all the stuff you'd expect from a Jurgen Klopp tactic. Out of possession, it is going to be an intense tactic, lads. It's going to be higher defensive line, higher pressing engagement, prevent goalkeeper distribution. It's only a middle press as well, because if we put it up to 4, the intensity will be getting everyone injured every 2 minutes. Step up more on the defensive line, trap inside, and stop the crosses coming into the box. I feel like this tactic could absolutely do bits for us in our first few seasons. Looking at our schedule for the season, we'll start the season off with a DFB Pokal first round game and absolutely hammer some non-league German team about 15-0. And then we start the season off proper with a game against Augsburg. We've got Cologne, Bochum, and then the big game, the Klassiker, away from home against FC Bayern Munich, which will be an absolute tough game, but we'll try and do the best we can in that game. We've got Freiburg, Leipzig away, Borussia Mönchengladbach, Hertha Berlin, and then Schalke at home is another big game that we have to win. We have to beat Schalke. That seems like the biggest rivalry for Dortmund. And going towards the end of the season, our run-in is not that bad. We've got Mainz away, Wolfsburg at home, and Union Berlin, who've had an absolute storming season in real life. Last game of the season if we need to pick up points. But I think by that point, we'll definitely be qualified for the Champions League. And I have full faith in the lads. Of course, there'll be Champions League games in there as well. We'll qualify for the group stage. Let's see how far we can get in our first season with the players that we've got. Taking a look at the players now that we could bring in as the Dortmund manager, only Germans and Austrians. So let's have a look at some of those young players that could replace the players we've got in the squad currently. We've got our scouts in the mindset that they should only be finding German and Austrian nationality players for our squad. We've set them up for the defenders, the goalkeepers, the DMs, the midfield centers, the left and right wingers, and the striker as well. So the scouts are fully set up in that position. And let's take a look now using a filter on what young German players are interested in coming to us currently. So we're going to go 21 years old. Let's have a look at some of the best young German talent the game has to offer for us. And one that sticks out to me straight away, Jan Thielmann from Cologne, absolute quality baller. He would be a great replacement should and when Gio Reyna leaves the club. We've also got players like Luca Netz, probably one of the best young left backs on the game, and he's German as well. So that does us a huge amount of favours having him as one of our top transfer targets. Martin Dordai, he is Hungarian and German, but he's declared for Germany. So for us, that counts. I mean, I think it should count. He is German nationality after all. We've also got some other big ballers in there. Felix Lemeckia, absolutely class cam. If we move to a 4-2-3-1 system, he could be one that is on our list also. And not to forget players like Jonathan Burkhardt and his Mainz counterpart Nelson Viper, two quality players that could play in the forward line for us going forward should we lose forward players on this save. Those are the Germans. Now let's take a look at the Austrians. Before we look at the Austrian players and get into more detail, if you haven't already, please do sub to the channel and like this video. It really does help the video's performance and it helps me put out more content like this. Now let's look at the Austrian players, kicking it off with one of the best Austrian goalkeepers on the game, Nicholas Heidel from Rapid Vienna. He could be a goalkeeper that replaces our current keeper that we've got in the future should he decide to leave or be sold. And then you've got players like Leopold. I won't try and pronounce his last name, but he looks a very good young defender from Rapid Vienna as well. They do produce some of the best Austrian players on the game, but an academy that we will be raiding on a regular is the RB Salzburg Academy with all their great Austrian players. And Junior Adamu is one of the best Austrian prospects on the game. He could be an Austrian player that pushes us forward in the game as striker to compete with the players like Karim Adeyemi and Yusuf Makoko, however you say his name, They could all be top quality signings, and I'm really looking forward to only using German and Austrian players in this save. It's going to be absolutely class. We're in for an absolute roller coaster ride, trying to replace Bayern Munich as the best team in the Bundesliga and build Dortmund into the best team in Europe and the world.